The beans in Jack and the Beanstalk are believed to be fava beans, and they have a magical history all their own, with evidence of their incorporation into diets dating back 8,000 years. That's 6,000 BC, folks. Fava beans are one of the oldest cultivated plants. Their hardiness and ability to endure cold climates contributed to their endurance as a crop. It also earned the beans magical status in Sicily, where they were considered more than merely food. You see, Sicily experienced a serious drought in the Middle Ages that led to hunger and crop destruction. Sicilians prayed to Saint Joseph for rain, and he answered their prayers by making it rain. Not in the way that Fat Joe might in the club, but actually making it rain. The hardy fava beans were the only crops to be salvaged and helped prevent a famine. And since then, Sicilians have honored St. Joseph annually on March 19th, part of the festivities on St. Joseph's Day, including placing fava beans in church altars and incorporating fava beans into the accompanying feasts. On the day they are traditionally sown, All Souls Day, fava bean-shaped cakes are baked in their honor, known as fava dei morti, or beans of the dead. Now, of course, fava bean consumption and honoring isn't limited to special occasions. They are consumed throughout the year in risottos, pastas, and stews, and the lucky bean can be carried at any time in the pocket. A fava bean in the wallet is thought to bring fortune, and keeping a few in the pantry is said to ensure it will never be bare. This might just be the case of logic, not luck, since a cupboard containing a few fava beans will technically never be empty. Grown in abundance along the Nile River, Egyptians have incorporated fava beans into many traditional dishes, including falafel and fulmetamines. I hope I said that right. But its magico-religious affiliation meant certain groups were restricted from eating it. When an object such as a fava bean is considered to contain supernatural powers or properties, it can be viewed as simultaneously beneficial as well as harmful. And as a result of their magical reputation, it was taboo for priests to consume fava beans. Instead, they function as symbolic offerings to gods. Pharaoh Ramses III offered 11,998 jars of fava beans to the god of the Nile. Herodotus claims some Egyptians were not only prohibited from eating the beans, but were also restricted from even looking at them. Due to their usage in religious ceremonies, priests may have had an abstinence-only policy regarding savoring their tempting flesh. As a result, fava beans were not just a magical fruit, but also a forbidden fruit, in which priests were required to exercise a form of self-denial. In other words, these priests were in denial, and we're kind of sort of talking about the river in Egypt. Although Egyptians felt a mixed sentiment towards fava beans, there was only one thing the Greek philosopher Pythagoras felt for them: sheer disdain. Highly influential for his contributions to math, Pythagoras had a large number of followers known as Pythagoreans. Part of being a Pythagorean including adhering to a vegetarian diet. And unlike most vegetarian diets in which beans are incorporated as a source of protein, Pythagoras had such a hatred for favas, he forbid his followers from consuming or even touching the bean. And you thought Madonna hated hydrangeas. When he wasn't busy coming up with theories about triangles, Pythagoras spent his time coming up with the reasons to hate beans. Ancient philosophers, including Aristotle and Cicero, attempted to explain Pythagoras' aversion to fava beans. One theory was they were forbidden due to the resemblance of both male and female genitalia. Another theory regarding their appearance was they were shaped like human heads. Therefore, eating fava beans was analogous to eating the head of one's parents. This was also believed a chewed bean smelled like the blood of a murder victim when left in the sun. And cannibalism is never an appealing option, unless, of course, the fava beans are served along with a nice Chianti. Some thought their unsegmented hollow stem functioned as the gates of Hades, similar to an elevator. It was theorized the stem transported the souls in between worlds. And finally, it was also believed Pythagoras disliked the magical bean because it also was a musical fruit. Their gassy noises were a distraction. According to him, the more you eat, the more you impair your ability to concentrate. And more important things like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In the end, Pythagoras' hatred of Favas may have led to his demise. According to legend, Pythagoras was given the option of facing his enemies or fleeing through a fava bean field. He decided to keep it real in the field. Ever the fava diva, Pythagoras declared something to the effect that he wouldn't be caught dead in such a place. And he wasn't. Instead, he was caught and died while attempting to escape without going through the fava bean field. This might be the most legitimate reason for Pythagoras to hate fava beans. Of course, these are all speculations regarding Pythagoras, and he'd probably be the first to point out that all theorems require proof. This is something researchers have attempted recently, theorizing he may have suffered from favaism, an allergic-like reaction that occurs when certain individuals are exposed to fava beans. Favaism is a hereditary disease found worldwide. It's most prevalent in the Mediterranean. The red blood cells of individuals with favaism lack G6PD. This is an enzyme needed to break down the peptide glutathione. Since the substance is present in fava beans, the exposure to fava beans or even the pollen can trigger fevers, jaundice, hemolytic anemia, and even death. Reviewing the prevalence of favaism in the region during his life, Simons has disputed claims that Pythagoras himself suffered from favaism. While he might never know the real reason behind Pythagoras' fava bean aversion, the relationship between illness and favas contribute to an understanding of their taboo. It seems counterintuitive that people living in a region affected by favaism would continue to eat something potentially harmful. Its endurance as a crop might be explained by its relationship with another disease in which fava beans may contain medicinal properties. Yes, isn't this getting more and more interesting? Some areas throughout the Mediterranean where fava beans were cultivated also had a high incidence of malaria. Scientists observed a correlation between the consumption of the bean and the prevalence of the disease. Fava beans were discovered to contain chemical compounds that were similar to quinine-based medications. Even well, we won't even mention that. And when fava beans are consumed, they create a hostile environment within the body for malaria. In other words, in regards to their sentiment towards fava beans, malarial parasites would be on Team Pythagoras. There is still more to be learned about the fava bean. Just one thing that's for sure. From high in the sky to Hades, exploring the magical bean is quite a trip. Which is why we got some of the beans here at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project growing. And we're going to be planting even more than ever before outside. The two main varieties of fava bean that you can grow are Broad Windsor and Vroma. I don't have much experience with either, but the beans that we planted around the new year are doing fantastic. Thanks for listening to the story. If you enjoyed what you heard, plant some fava beans, protect yourself from malaria, and share this video with like-minded people. Hit that subscribe button. We love you, but not as much as we love the fava.